So today we're going to go and practice some multiple exposure photography in London. I like to call this style timescape photography. For me, I feel like it really blends multiple points in time over each other to create one image. If you don't know, look at my Instagram account, you'll know exactly what I mean. If you've stumbled across this looking for street photography tutorials, then I think this is going to be a method that you might absolutely want to try after watching this. I want to talk you through my workflow and help you understand what I think about when creating these type of images. I need to go because I need to get the train, but I will see you in London shortly. I will also point out that this is my first YouTube video, so bear with me. We might have some issues, we might hopefully not, but I will look to create more of these as I go into London. So any thoughts, tips, leave them in the comments. I'm at Westminster. My scope in this one is essentially to create a multiple exposure image of everyone walking past Westminster. So I found a ledge that I'm going to use, and then I guess essentially we'll see what we find, but I'll chat through my workflow shortly when I've got set up. So in terms of my setup, I actually bought this with me. So this is what I've used for long exposures before. So essentially, what that's going to do is it's my remote shutter release. So I'm going to set the number of frames that I want on here, because it's quite difficult for me to actually get behind the camera to take the photo. So I'm going to set this to probably about 20 frames with a couple of seconds in between each one so I don't catch the same person twice. I'm shooting in manual. So essentially what I want to make sure that I've got control of is the depth of field at f8 and then also the shutter speed. So I've got auto ISO on to compensate, and I've got my 20mm lens on. So let's see how it goes. Composition slightly because there's a family eating right in front of my camera on the last one. If you can see, that's right where I stood. So I've moved again and we've tried the camera again. I'll show you the settings and I just want to chat through kind of what I'm using. Okay, so I've moved a bit further away. As you can probably see, it was just too loud to talk by the where I was taking the photo from. I just wanted to talk a bit more about like the stuff that I'm using to take the images, because I get quite a few questions about, you know, what lens do I use, tripod, etc, etc. You've probably seen that I am using a tripod in this case. So the one I'm using, I'll link to it in the description. It's quite a small one. I wanted something really compact just because I've not tended to take tripods with me for street. Or just into the streets in general, but it's super small and compact. It's from Newer. I think I got it on Amazon. One that I wanted to try and keep as inconspicuous as possible, tidy away in sort of my bag, etc. So I don't take a big one with me, but obviously if you want to take your large tripod, do. I very rarely use it. Today's actually the first time I'm using it in probably about, I'd say, nearly a year actually. Mainly because I was aware that there was a wall of some kind by the Thames that I was using to take the image. So I wanted to make sure that, you know, the camera that was, when my camera was on there, it was steady, didn't move, and the composition was fairly clean. So in terms of lenses, well, in this instance, I have got, I usually use a 50mm. So the 50mm that I normally use for my Nikon, mirrorless Z6 is what I've got. So I use the 50 most of the time. That's generally really good for me to get tight shots out, and I think it really helps with the composition as well. I think there's a reason why a lot of people use it. I think it's just super useful for the dynamic scenes that you're using in a street environment. So the other one that I've got onto the camera at the moment is the 20mm. I've also got a polarizer on there, just to try and take some of the glare off of the images today. The 20mm is fairly new, so I've used a 50mm now for well over a year. Literally the only lens I generally owned. I had actually a DX camera beforehand that had zoom, and I found I just love using prime lenses. The 20 is a 1.8, I think. I'll clarify that in the description. But I don't really use my lenses wide open either. I use f8 a lot of the time, just because it gives me that maximum depth of field that I'm after in my images, and I enjoy using prime lenses. You know, I find them really fun to work with. I think it really forces you to think about the composition, and I find that especially on the 50 and actually on the 20s I've been using it today and kind of looking at the images, the quality is very sharp. So that's what I tend to use, kind of my basic setup. The polarizer it comes out with me every now and again. I think where you've got like building windows and things, it tends to work quite well, as well as kind of the sky when it's particularly bright today. I mean, it's gotten quite overcast here in the UK, but shock. So yeah, I hope that kind of is useful, and I'll take you back to where we were, and hopefully we can get a decent image out of the scene we're using today. I've switched to the 50, and I've also found, just reviewing some of the photos, that the intervals were too short, so I've changed it to 10. This is the first time I've actually used this. I figured it would be handy while I've got the tripod. One thing I really struggle when doing this type of photography is getting people to look at me, and actually I feel that the scene is much more compact, and also people don't think I'm taking photos. So I draw much less attention to myself. The field of view is roughly like that, which actually I think makes for a much compact composition as opposed to the wide angle. And I think I might try the 20 in a different part of London that might be a bit tighter. Initially, my plan was to go over towards the end and use the stairs, but actually there wasn't anywhere to go onto the stairs. So instead we've got this. But we'll see what comes out. Like that, we're back. I'm ridiculously hot. The train back was boiling. My car is boiling.
done ridiculous amount of steps. I don't know how people do it in London day in, day out. I find it absolutely knackering. I can't wait to get home. I hope you found this useful. I hope you enjoyed this kind of content. If you have any questions, then just write to me in the comments. If you have any ideas on what you would like to see on this channel, then please also put that in the comments, and I will do my best to try and create that for you, just to try and make this channel as educational as possible for multiple exposure photography. So that's it for now, and I'll see you in the next video. One other tip I would give: if you are doing street photography and you're filming on your phone, bring something to hold your phone.